At first glance, the 1961 Plymouth Valiant might seem like a weird little car, awkward and out of place among the flashy muscle machines of the 1960s. But the truth is, without the Valiant, the entire Plymouth brand might have died far sooner than you think. It wasn't a sports car, it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't sexy, but it became a silent savior, carrying the survival hopes of an entire brand on its small shoulders. And here's the twist. Despite strong sales and a key role in rescuing Plymouth from financial disaster, the Valiant was rejected by Americans, all because of its radically different design. The tale of a car that was hated yet saved its company stands as one of the greatest paradoxes in American automotive history. So, what made this car so special, and why has it been forgotten? Let's uncover the hidden truth behind the 1961 Plymouth Valiant, the strange beauty that defied the odds. By the late 1950s, the American auto industry was entering a period of upheaval. The dominance of large land yachts was being challenged by a rising wave of compact cars, smaller, more fuel-efficient, and better suited to increasingly crowded city streets. Chevrolet had the Corve, Ford had the Falcon, and the Rambler American was suddenly a surprise hit. Meanwhile, Plymouth, a Chrysler sub-brand, was struggling. Its cars were becoming forgettable, seen as watered-down versions of Dodge or Dotto models. By 1959, Chrysler's leadership realized they needed an all-new model, not just to compete in the compact segment, but to resuscitate Plymouth's fading identity. The Falcon Fighter project was born, but instead of just building another cheap little car, Chrysler aimed to create something bold. Practical, yes, but with a personality. At first glance, the Plymouth Valiant could stop people in their tracks, for better or worse. It had a pointed nose, froggy headlights spaced far apart, wildly curving body lines, and a wraparound rear window that looked like it belonged on a spaceship. This wasn't the work of some timid design team. It came from Virgil Exner, Chrysler's legendary design chief, known for bold creations like the Imperial and Chrysler 300. Exner called this philosophy the forward look, aiming to push car styling into the future, modern, daring, and polarizing. But not everyone was ready for a visual jolt. Consumers mocked the Valiant as a Martian's car, a dried-up shark, or a budget rocket ship. The press was no kinder, joking it looked like a sewing machine fused with a sardine can. Yet beneath the odd appearance was aerodynamic intent. The sharp front and rounded surfaces reduced drag, something rarely considered in compact cars of the time. The Valiant wasn't traditionally beautiful, but it was bold, distinctive, and impossible to ignore. In a market drowning in blandness, this was one way to make buyers look twice. But don't let its small size fool you into thinking the Valiant was just a cheap car. Right from the chassis, it showed Chrysler's serious engineering intentions. Instead of the traditional body-on-frame layout used in most larger cars, Chrysler went with a unibody design, a fully integrated frame and body. This made the Valiant lighter, more rigid, and better suited for city driving. The front suspension used torsion bars, which delivered a stable, smooth ride while maintaining a firm, planted feel. In the rear, Chrysler stuck with traditional leaf springs, simple, reliable, and easy to service. This combo gave the Valiant a ride that was comfortable without being mushy, ideal for drivers seeking a dependable compact for everyday use. Another big plus was its tight turning radius, which allowed the Valiant to maneuver effortlessly through narrow city streets and tight parking spots, something full-size cars of the era struggled with. Beyond the chassis, Chrysler also equipped the Valiant with several thoughtful features rarely seen in compact cars at the time. A standard heater, an optional push-button gear selector mounted on the dash, and sound-deadening materials that kept the cabin quiet. Altogether, these features proved one thing. The Valiant wasn't a cheap car. It was a well-priced car packed with real value. But what truly elevated the Valiant beyond the engineering and clever packaging was the engine hidden beneath its modest hood. One of the toughest, smartest power plants Chrysler ever built. It was thanks to this engine that the Valiant became more than just a practical little car. It became a symbol of durability and no-nonsense engineering. That engine was the Slant-6, an underrated technical masterpiece that went overlooked for decades. The Slant-6 was unlike any other inline-six engine of its time. Instead of standing upright, the engine block was tilted 30 degrees to the right on the passenger side. This wasn't for styling. It allowed for a lower hood line. The water pump was relocated from the front to the side, shortening the overall engine length. A long branch individual runner intake manifold was installed, benefiting from Chrysler's pioneering research into intake tuning. The result was an inline-six that delivered both higher power output and better fuel economy than many comparable economy six-cylinder engines of the era. The 1961 Valiant offered two displacements, 170 and 225 cub-in. The 225th version became especially well regarded for its strong low-end torque, perfect for city driving and climbing hills with ease. But what made the Slant-6 truly legendary wasn't just its performance, it was its incredible reliability. Some Valiants surpassed 200,000 Todräder without ever needing an engine rebuild. The Slant-6 even found use in light trucks, military vehicles, and taxis. Brutal environments that chewed up weaker engines. American mechanics nicknamed it the engine that won't die. With its compact design and durable engine, it's no surprise the Valiant became a sales hit. And it did just that. In its very first year on the market, it sold over 194,000 units, an impressive figure for a brand-new compact model. At a time when American buyers were gradually shifting away from oversized cars, the Valiant was seen as a smart choice for the middle class. Compact, fuel-efficient, easy to maintain, and surprisingly durable. But while the sales numbers rose, the Valiant's public image declined. Its quirky styling led to a string of unflattering nicknames like Old Man's Car, Retired Teacher's Ride, or Temporary Beater. Though it performed well, it lacked that crucial cool factor, an invisible quality that carried huge weight with American consumers. Even worse, the Valiant was stuck between two extremes. It wasn't cheap enough to compete with budget cars like the VW Beetle, and it wasn't stylish enough to take on sporty or more expressive vehicles. This created a strange paradox. The Valiant was the car everyone bought, but no one wanted to be seen driving. It was the logical, rational choice, not the emotional one, and that perception ultimately held it back. Even though the Valiant achieved strong commercial success, it never cemented itself as a cultural icon the way the Mustang or even the Corvair did. If you paid close attention, you might have noticed a small but significant detail. When the Valiant was first launched in 1960, it didn't wear a Plymouth badge. On paper, it was simply called Valiant by Chrysler Corporation. Don't assume this was a mistake. It was very much intentional. From the beginning, Chrysler wanted to create an entirely new sub-brand, similar to how GM had Chevrolet and Pontiac. The Valiant was meant to be a global compact, a car line that could stand on its own, not just a small model tucked inside Plymouth's lineup. But the plan quickly ran into trouble. Dealerships were confused. They didn't know where to place the Valiant on their showroom floors, and customers weren't sure whether they were buying a Chrysler, a Plymouth, or something else entirely. Worse yet, internal conflict began brewing. The marketing department wanted to position the Valiant as something fresh, youthful, and forward-thinking. Meanwhile, the production and sales teams pushed to leverage the familiarity of the Plymouth name to drive volume. The result, by 1961, Chrysler was forced to fold the Valiant into the Plymouth brand to stop the chaos. But that initial break in branding left a lasting scar. The Valiant became a good car with no clear identity, a product that never truly knew where it belonged. And in the world of American cars, where brand identity is everything, that kind of confusion was a fatal flaw. While it never reached cultural icon status like the Mustang or the Beetle, the Valiant quietly became a fixture in everyday American life during the early 60s. In films, commercials, and television, it was often seen as the everyman's car, driven by teachers, engineers, office workers, and homemakers. Not flashy, but everywhere. Outside the US, the Valiant had an even longer and livelier life. Chrysler quickly expanded its production and assembly into countries like Australia, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, and South Africa. In Australia, Chrysler Australia developed the Valiant into its own distinct vehicle line with unique variants like station wagons, UTs, high-performance sedans, and especially the Valiant Charger, a beloved domestic muscle car icon. The Valiant earned respect abroad for its solid chassis, durable engine, easy repairability, and ability to handle rough road conditions from the Australian outback to Latin American cities. For many people in remote regions, the Valiant wasn't just a car, it was a lifeline. It may not have been a star in America, but elsewhere, the Valiant truly shined. For years, the Plymouth Valiant was dismissed as too ordinary to be considered a memorable classic. But as time passed, the way enthusiasts and experts view it has started to shift. What made the Valiant stand out wasn't speed or looks. It was the honesty in its purpose. A compact car built to be reliable, easy to use, and tailored to the needs of post-war American families. While other brands tried to shrink big cars into smaller ones, the Valiant took a different approach with its own design logic, its own platform, and a different mindset. It was also one of the earliest building blocks of the American compact car segment, paving the way for models like the Dodge Dart, Chevy Nova, and Ford Maverick that followed. Today, the Valiant is remembered with a kind of quiet respect, not because it was cool, but because it delivered exactly what it promised decade after decade. Young collectors are drawn to it for its accessibility, while older enthusiasts see it as a symbol of integrity. Back when cars were built to serve people, not just impress them. The Valiant may have never been a star, but that's exactly why time hasn't forgotten it. The Plymouth Valiant isn't a car that makes jaws drop at first glance. It wasn't flashy, and it wasn't fast, but in that simplicity, it represented a different kind of American car. Quiet, durable, and dependable. The Valiant didn't change history, but it helped keep history moving. It was never on magazine covers, yet it quietly carried millions through decades of change. If you've ever doubted that an ordinary car could do something extraordinary, this is your proof. What do you think of this humble little car? Does it deserve more recognition in American automotive history? Drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of cars time tried to forget.